Hey guys, so this is the first video of this series where I expose celebrity and journalist bigotry against Israel and their blatant ignorance. So, the first person I am going to talk about is Russell Brand. For those who don't know who Russell Brand is, he is allegedly a comedian. You have to have a very specific kind of humor to appreciate his, but he has a charming British accent and he's known for being in a relationship with a certain pop star and quite mediatic, and he developed certain views against Israel that are built on propaganda and misinformation. So the thing is, he is a supporter of Corbyn, and while he hasn't been as vocal as he used to be in propaganda against Israel, he certainly is a Labour Party supporter and has been quite quiet on the question of Corbyn, but of course he shares the same ideas, so nothing new here. So the reason why I am talking to Russell Brand and especially his audience is because celebrities are, in a sense, spreading messages they do not know about and some don't even care to research about. So, why Russell Brand specifically? Because Russell Brand tends to pretend he is anti-establishment, tries to give the idea that he goes against the media and defends a narrative that is different from the media. And, he gives that anti establishment appeal that attracts rebellious youth and may lead naive, incautious people to believe in a false narrative. Now, my problem with this is that Russell Brand supports terrorists and spreads very nefarious propaganda about Israel. So, this is why I am addressing this video to Russell Brand. Anyway, Russell, you claim to be anti-establishment, and then you go on to spread one of the most media acclaimed hoaxes of history, that Palestinians and Gaza are oppressed by Israelis. Really, you claim to be anti-establishment and fighting the media narrative, and yet you espouse the narrative of the majority of the media, the UN, the EU, and countless other NGOs that spread lies about Israel. Really, if you claim to be such an anti-establishment person, you should at least do your own research and be aware that your libelous accusations are actually costing lives every single day in Israel. So, and this is a very, very sensitive subject to me because it's hard to know the truth and see so much propaganda being spread, and almost everyone believes in that propaganda and doesn't try to see both sides. And it is killing people. You see every single day news of terrorist attacks. And the narrative that the media chooses to portray is completely opposite of reality. He went against Fox News. Fox News is probably the only Western news outlet that is reporting anything close to the truth, but even Fox News spreads some anti-Israel propaganda unknowingly. So, um, first things first, Russell, why do you support terrorist organizations? Why are you going against Israel and IDF when all IDF and Israel do is trying to protect their citizens from terrorist attacks and having a miserable childhood? So, first, you lie very, 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 very disgustingly about Gaza. Gaza is an area that was cut off from Israel because of the sheer amount of terrorist attacks that were happening. In fact, thousands of Jewish families had to be relocated so that Israel could give Gaza to terrorist groups to keep Jewish families alive. Therefore, they had to build a safe perimeter to keep Jewish families alive. And Israeli cities and crops and everything. The only reason why Gaza is circled by a fence is because terrorist groups kept on killing people, and they keep on trying to do it every single day. Every single day they keep on trying to do it. One such examples of victims of terrorists from so-called Palestine was Ari Fuld, a remarkable man that worked for peace in Israel and between Israelis and Arabs, the Palestinians, as you call them, because we all know that Palestinians became Israelis, Israeli Arabs, and those that are occupying now Judea and Samaria are mostly descended from Egyptians and Arabs that invaded in 1948 and 1967. So anyway, what's important about this is that you are ignoring that Palestinians don't want peace. What they want is the complete obliteration of Israel. There's a man that recently died, and he had amazing YouTube videos. I recommend everyone to just look on YouTube. His Twitter page is still up, and he did amazing activism to bring together Arab families and Jewish families and promote peace. He even helped support an Arab family and gave them food, I think every Friday, near the very supermarket he was murdered in the vicinity. So here's the thing. If you really want peace, look for the truth. And the truth is, Israel is not a bully. It's actually a victim of international pressure and international colonialism. You will never see anyone interfere so much in any country except Israel. Everyone interferes in Israel. Even Angela Merkel in the UN tried to interfere in Israel, which is not even in the EU. Can you believe the EU trying to interfere in the United States? Or, well, you're a labor, you're in the Labor Party, so I guess You don't mind the EU messing your own business. So anyway, what is happening is you and our other leftists are being brainwashed by a powerful brainwashing media propaganda that is spreading centuries and centuries of propaganda against Israelis, the myth of banking and corporation control and the kind of trash you'll find in the Elders of Zion, the blood libel, all that same anti-Semitic trash is being spread to this day. You claim to be liberal, and yet you are supporting organizations, or rather terrorist groups, that fly swastikas and spread Nazi propaganda against Jews. How can you claim to be against oppression when you're supporting someone who wants to destroy Israel and eradicate Israel? They don't want peace. Israel has tried to reach agreements multiple times with Palestinians, giving them land, more land actually, and more land. And every single time they rejected peace. If anything, Israel has lost a lot of territory, and Jewish lives have become more vulnerable due to Arab colonialism and due to European colonialism and the constant interference of other nations on Israel's matters. You see staged videos of IDF abuse spread by the Palestinian propaganda machine. But first, you'll never see a complete video. You always see snippets and edited things to make IDF appear, give a wrong idea of IDF. And when the full videos are uncovered, you'll see videos of schools teaching people to fake being shot. You will see the videos being staged, and after the video is staged, everyone gets up and no one is injured. You will see so many of these videos of staged events on the internet. It's not like it's a secret. They're so stupid that they will leave a trace of their blood libel online. They gloat to each other, and sometimes a lot of these videos surface and you see it's just a blood libel. It's just a montage just to frame Israel for crimes they never committed. Lots and lots of videos research, and we see that they're staged. You have to be very brainwashed not to research the complete videos. And you have to be completely brainwashed to believe they are victims. They themselves know that they're not victims. You have Ahed Tamimi really saying that no, it's not about her village. It's not about IDF's presence in her village. It's about Israel. They want to destroy Israel. They cannot be any more clear. You have, you have the so-called peaceful protests to free Gaza from the blockade. Why don't they do a blockade in Egypt? For your information, the only real blockade is the Sinai blockade, because Egypt has a very bad track record at opening their gates to Egypt. In fact, Israel keeps their gates open most of the year unless you have these staged events called, to basically endanger Jewish lives and create international, you know, noise, literally noise. Most of the people that are shot by IDF are terrorists and are usually in high ranking posts of Hamas. And time again, it has been proven they have been spreading hoaxes about killing children that never died. But again, the only way they have to appeal to international emotion is pretending that children are dead. But even if children were killed by IDF, the blame is, and their blood is, on Hamas and who voted Hamas to lead Gaza. They voted on a terrorist organization, and most of them are connected to Hamas. And Hamas uses human children as shields so that IDF soldiers won't shoot them. IDF is the actually there's actually an article saying that a lot of international defense forces and the international armies feel very intimidated by IDF's track record because even with the amount of provocation, IDF is the army that has the least casualties. And you see that behaviors that would lead most soldiers in the world to promptly shoot to kill are tolerated by IDF. You have Palestinians, or so-called Palestinians, making fools out of IDF soldiers, kicking them, harassing them, hurting them, and yet they will spread lies about them. You see the IDF soldiers standing still, not budging, even though they could take action against these people. And yet, international media keeps on spreading lies, saying that IDF keeps on murdering innocent people and targeting innocent people out of racism and colonialism and whatever. This is a dangerous narrative that is being spread by little tiny celebrities like you and the media who know nothing about the reality of Israel. And seriously, how gullible can you be to believe in that propaganda and not research things? Furthermore, you claim that they are unarmed. You should see the rockets they send every single day to Israel. Why there are no casualties? Thank God there's the Iron Dome protecting Israel that has a very good rate of defending Israel. Without the Iron Dome, it would be much worse. And also their lack of accuracy because, well, um, I don't see you or any of your e-celebrities um, condemning Hamas and Palestinian Authority for building, you know, tunnels under schools and for keeping weapons at schools and planning terrorist attacks and killing innocent Jewish children. You don't see that. Why there are fences around Jewish settlements? Because there are terrorist attacks. It's not an oppression tool, it's a defensive tool. And you should, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm really angry because people with so much money have the conditions to do proper research, and they choose not to. It's an intellectual laziness. And they keep on spreading lies that are killing fathers and children's. And a few, a little over a week ago, one of the greatest souls in Israel that's kept peace and did his best to connect Arabs and Jews in that area was killed. And yet, a lot of leftists kept on saying that he deserved it. You've never seen, you don't see any of these tiny celebrities at least acknowledging the victims of terrorism, victims that fought for peace and stability in Judea and Samaria. So, Russell Brand, do your research. Stop spreading the blood libel, and please be a little less obnoxious, a little bit less ironic, and start doing your research, because your comedy has no value and your knowledge is very, 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 I don't know how, there's not, there's, there's no word to describe how mediocre your researching skills are and how basically mainstream brainwashed you are. You claim to be anti-establishment, and yet you're just spreading the establishment narrative. You're spreading bigoted anti-Semitic ideas, and you're proud of it. You're proud of it. You should be ashamed. So anyway, that's it for this video. I know I was all over the place. I didn't even say everything I wanted to say, but well, there's just so much to say about Israel and Gaza and Judea and Samaria. And the thing that you have to know is that the media is lying to you. If you hear the Palestinians talking, they all want one thing, which is Israel gone. They don't want peace. They want to eradicate Israel and Israelis. That's the truth. And whenever Israel tried peace, they always rejected peace. Wonder why? Because they're anti-Semitic. Their leaders spread Nazi propaganda, and their muftis associated with Nazis in the past. So, oh gosh, I'm getting an accent. Anyway, so if you really want peace, do better your research and stop supporting people who fly swastikas and supported Nazis and even have Nazi propaganda in their school books. Try to get out of your comfort zone and do proper research instead of supporting the genocide of the Jews in Israel. So I think that's it for this video, as I said, and thanks everyone for watching, and raise awareness to your celebrities of what's really going on in Israel and how they're supporting murders and terrorism unknowingly. Some may even know, but I'm hoping that they're doing this out of ignorance rather than out of blatant anti-Semitism. Anyway, bye and see you in the next video.